So for all of you Dharma companions who are gathered here this afternoon, we will give instruction on the Aspiration prayer of Samantabhadra. This prayer has a great connection with the Heart Sutra that was taught yesterday. And we should consider that the qualities of Prajna Paramita are such that she is the mother of all of the Buddhas of the 3 times of past, present, and future. In addition, she is also like the mother of all sentient beings. This is because her essence is the singular mind that is the basis of the Buddha's minds and sentient beings' minds. In this regard, in the Aspiration prayer of Samantabhadra, the first lines read, "Everything, appearance and existence, samsara and nirvana, has a single ground, yet 2 paths and 2 fruitions." So this single ground is nothing other than the nature of mind, from which all the phenomena of samsara and nirvana are manifest. So the text continues, or the text reads, "Everything has a single ground, yet 2 paths and 2 fruitions, and magically displays as awareness or unawareness." With regard to the 2 paths, there is the path of self-cherishing and the path of accomplishing others' benefit. And then with regard to the 2 fruitions, this is either the attainment of Buddhahood or the experience of sentient beings wandering in cyclic existence. The fruition that is Buddhahood is nothing other than bliss. The experience of beings wandering in samsara is nothing other than suffering. And so although there is a singular basis of mind, then these 2 paths and 2 results manifest therefrom. This singular basis is of but one nature, and the only difference between Buddhas and sentient beings is the recognition and awareness of that singular basis, or the non-recognition. This is what is meant then in the text when it says, "and magically displays as awareness or unawareness." The text continues through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, and just as a translator's comment, I should mention that Kuntuzangpo is the Tibetan name, which in Sanskrit is Samantabhadra. So the text reads, "Through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, may all beings become Buddhas, completely perfected in the abode of the Dharmadhatu." So through the great love of Samantabhadra, who has himself realized the ultimate meaning, he has made this prayer of aspiration that all sentient beings, without exception, will attain the state of the Buddhas, and completely clearing away ignorance will achieve complete perfection in the abode of Dharmadhatu. The text reads also, "The ground of all is uncompounded, and the self-arising great expanse beyond expression has neither the name samsara nor nirvana." Now, with regard to the ground of all being uncompounded, this is the same point that we were making yesterday in the commentary on the Heart Sutra, in stating that all phenomena are composites and lack any inherent existence. This fundamental ground cannot be shaken by various conditions. Regardless of the conditions that arise, it is constant and stable. So in the text it is said, the ground of all is uncompounded, and the self-arising great expanse beyond expression has neither the name samsara nor nirvana. Realizing just this, you are a Buddha. Not realizing this, you are a being wandering in samsara. Oh, and excuse me, just as a translator's comment, I should mention that this translation was made by Garchen Rinpoche. So, with regard to the terms, the self-arising great expanse, Rinpoche says, this is nothing other than the mind that is like the sky. It is the union of clarity and emptiness, and is, as was stated yesterday in the teachings on the Heart Sutra, inconceivable and inexpressible. With regard to these words, having neither the name samsara nor nirvana, realizing just this you are a Buddha, and so forth, Rinpoche said, with regard to this ultimate essence, neither the label samsara nor the label nirvana truly applies, as they are one in nature. Now, for beings who have not realized the empty essence, likewise the label Buddha cannot be applied. Although the mind is the nature of emptiness, which at the very basis is Buddha, still, the Buddhas cannot, let me rephrase this, we cannot give the label sentient being to those who have not realized the nature of mind. We cannot give the label sentient being to the Buddhas who have realized the nature of mind, nor can we give the label Buddha to sentient beings who have not. Thus, within the fundamental empty nature, neither the name Buddha nor sentient being applies either. So, as it says in the text, realizing just this, you are a Buddha. Not realizing this, you are a being wandering in samsara. So, whoever sees the nature of the mind is Buddha. Whoever is not capable of seeing this remains a being wandering in cyclic existence. When the basic nature of mind is not recognized, and for as long as it is not recognized, sentient beings continue to experience the sufferings of samsara. And the fact that we cannot really apply either the name samsara nor nirvana to the ultimate natural state is supported by the fact that those who recognize the natural state experience Buddhahood. Those who do not recognize it experience the suffering of cyclic existence. So in brief, on the basis of self-grasping, one fails to recognize the fundamental nature of mind. From self-grasping manifests negative emotions, and through these negative emotions, sentient beings continue to wander in samsara. However, when the basic nature is realized, one attains independence and freedom. The text continues, I pray that all you beings of the three realms may realize the true meaning of the inexpressible ground. Thus here Samantabhadra is praying that all sentient beings of the three spheres of existence will realize the ultimate nature of the mind through the power of his prayer of aspiration. The text continues, I, Kuntuzangpo, have realized the truth of this ground, free from cause and condition, which is just this self-arising awareness. Thus, the basic ground does not arise from any cause. Likewise, it does not manifest from conditions. The meaning of this is that the basic ground is uncompounded. It is not made up of anything. Likewise, what we refer to as rigpa or awareness is naturally self-arisen. The text continues, it is unstained by outer expression and inner thought, affirmation or denial, and is not defiled by the darkness of unmindfulness. Thus, when we speak of this fundamental ground, it cannot be said to have any qualities of outer or inner. It cannot be said to exist nor not to exist. Likewise, this fundamental ground is free of all faults. The text reads, it is unstained by outer expression and inner thought, affirmation or denial, and is not defiled by the darkness of unmindfulness. Thus, this self-manifesting display is free from defects. So with regard to the darkness of unmindfulness, even though beings through their lack of awareness may not recognize the nature of mind, this non-recognition does not affect the fundamental nature of mind. Likewise, it is said to be completely free of any defect or fault. The text continues, I, Kuntuzangpo, abide as intrinsic awareness. Even though the three realms were to be destroyed, there is no fear. So by abiding in awareness, or rigpa, there is neither attachment nor aversion. Since the mind is free from attachment and aversion, there is no basis for fear. The text continues, there is no attachment to the 5 desirable qualities of sense objects. In self-arising consciousness, free of thoughts, there is neither solid form nor the 5 poisons. And so if one abides in the natural state of the mind, if one sustains the continuity of awareness, then although various forms are manifest in the outer world, the mind is not attached to them. And so it is with all of the all of the desirable objects of the senses. Although they are made manifest, although they appear, the mind is free of attachment to them. So by way of commentary, if one asks where does Samantabhadra abide, Samantabhadra abides in the mind stream of each and every individual. This fundamental basis of awareness is present in the minds of all beings. When this basis is realized through awareness, then even though the entire outer worldly sphere were to come to destruction, still there would be no basis for fear, because one would recognize that the basis of mind itself is beyond death. So at the time of death, although the body is destroyed, the mind is not destroyed. It continues on. When this is realized, there is no basis of fear, basis for fear. The text reads, "In the unceasing clarity of awareness, singular in essence, there yet arises the display of the five wisdoms." So with regard to the clarity aspect of the mind, it is said to be unceasing. That is, it is a continuous flow without obstruction. This basic nature of mind is the non-dual union of clarity and emptiness. So, returning to this line, "In the unceasing clarity of awareness, singular in essence, there yet arises the display of the five wisdoms," Rinpoche has given the following commentary. Although there is but one essential basis of the mind, from that basis arises what we call the five wisdoms. The self-nature of awareness is like a clear crystal or like a mirror, in which all of the phenomena of samsara and nirvana are reflected. This is the meaning then of mirror-like wisdom, the first of the five wisdoms. Now, likewise, within awareness, there is no investigation into the qualities or faults of phenomenal arisings. One is not distinguishing phenomena into good and bad. This then is the equalizing wisdom. Likewise, within awareness, the phenomena of samsara and nirvana are not distinguished. That is to say, one is not separating out the qualities of samsara versus the faults of nirvana. And this basic non-distinguishing aspect of the mind is... and also there's no distinction between negative emotions and primordial awareness. And this is the discriminating awareness wisdom, the third of the five. Furthermore, all the phenomena of samsara and nirvana are spontaneously and naturally present. The fact that they are naturally accomplished and not created refers to the all-accomplishing wisdom. And then the basis of all phenomena is the sky-like mind, which is like a clear mirror or a clear crystal. This refers to the Dharmadhatu wisdom, the fifth of the five. The text reads, "From the ripening of these five wisdoms, the five original Buddha families emerge." Now, this is not the case with ordinary sentient beings, whose minds are obscured by negative emotions. That is to say, as ordinary beings lack equanimity, they fixate on and grasp at phenomena as being real and true, and on the basis of this grasping give rise to attachment and aversion. Yet, in the minds of the Buddhas who have realized the ultimate nature, there is no grasping or fixation at all. There is no following after thoughts and emotions, nor is there any grasping at phenomena as being real or true. When the mind is free of grasping, the Buddhas of the 5 families spontaneously and naturally emerge. The text continues, and through the expanse of their wisdom, the 42 peaceful Buddhas appear. How is it that this multiplicity of Buddhas arise? From the Buddhas of the 5 families, there can be a further subdivision into 5 of each of those families, just as with the 6 negative emotions, there can be further subdivisions. For example, if we speak of the negative emotion of desire, this can be further subdivided into the desire of desire and the desire of hatred, and so on and so forth. In a similar way, all of the Buddhas of the 5 families can be further subdivided, each into each one of the 5 families. And so in this way, when one abides in the undiluted nature of mind, all phenomenal arisings are transformed into the deity. Thus, countless deities manifest from the 5 original Buddhas of the 5 families. Continuing from the past few lines, the text reads, through the arising power of the 5 wisdoms, the 60 wrathful Herukas manifest. Thus, from the very basis, which is Dharmakaya, countless Buddha forms manifest. That is to say, the Sambhogakaya is spontaneously manifest like rainbows from the sky or the space of Dharmakaya. And likewise, from out of Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya, limitless Nirmanakaya Buddhas appear. These also arise through the power of awareness. The text continues, thus the ground awareness is never mistaken or wrong. That is to say, since the ground awareness is completely free of fixation on any phenomenon as real or true, it is undiluted. Thus there is no error in that mind. The text continues, I, Kuntuzangpo, am the original Buddha of all, and through this prayer of mine, may all you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara realize this self-arising awareness, and may your great wisdom spontaneously increase. And here then, Samantabhadra is making an additional prayer of aspiration that all beings without exception will realize the awareness that is naturally and spontaneously present in their own minds. The text continues, my emanations will continuously manifest in billions of unimaginable ways, appearing in forms to help you beings who can be trained. The phenomena of the pure realms arise from the Dharmakaya and manifest as Sambhogakaya for the beings of pure karma who can actually perceive the Sambhogakaya and the pure realms. Yet, for the benefit of those who cannot perceive the Sambhogakaya, there manifests the Nirmanakaya. This is what is referred to in the text by my emanations. And these emanations of Samantabhadra arise ceaselessly and continuously. Now, with regard to this term ceaseless, we should also understand that all sentient beings of the 6 realms of existence are endowed with Buddha nature, and that the continuity of that Buddha nature is unceasing in the minds of beings. Likewise, from the perspective of conventional reality, these Nirmanakaya emanations manifest in countless ways as spiritual guides who give training to sentient beings who are in need of training. Furthermore, with regard to these lines, my emanations will continuously manifest in billions of unimaginable ways, appearing in forms to help you beings who can be trained. So these various Nirmanakaya manifest in whatever ways are necessary to tame or to train the mind streams of those who need training. In this way, the Nirmanakaya appear in countless types of forms. The first are those who are born, who take a physical form and manifest as bodhisattvas among sentient beings. The second type of Nirmanakaya are those which are created. These are various statues and images of deities and so forth that can be found in drawings and tankas and so on. The third type of Nirmanakaya are diversely manifest Nirmanakaya, and these are everything from the 5 elements to flowers and trees and so forth. Whatever can be found naturally occurring that brings about the benefit and happiness of all sentient beings should also be understood as Nirmanakaya. When this is understood, then one can recognize a single tree as the Nirmanakaya of the Buddha. How is this so? A single tree provides food and protection for many thousands of insects who abide there. These types of Nirmanakaya have spontaneously arisen. There is no need for them to be created. Those sentient beings who are to be trained are like frozen blocks of ice. Those Nirmanakaya emanations of the Buddha who manifest to train sentient beings are like the free-flowing water of the ocean. When this ice comes in contact with this free-flowing water, it gradually melts away. The only difference between Buddhas and sentient beings is a very slight difference, like the difference between ice and water. Both are of the same nature. Thus it is said in the Yamantaka texts that there is actually no object of compassion. That is to say, there is, since oneself and others are inseparable, then there is no object for whom one truly generates compassion. Sentient beings and Buddhas arise from the same basis. And recognizing this, Samantabhadra makes this prayer of aspiration. The text continues, "Through my compassionate prayer, may all of you beings who wander in the 3 realms of samsara escape from the 6 life forms." Yeah, so the text continues, "From the beginning you beings are deluded because you do not recognize the awareness of the ground." That is to say, beings do not recognize the fundamental natural state of the mind. They do not recognize rigpa or awareness. And the text continues, "Being thus unmindful of what occurs is delusion, the very state of unawareness and the cause of going astray." So when beings do not recognize the nature of mind, then there is mistaken perception of all phenomena. The text continues, "From this delusive state comes a sudden fainting away and then a subtle consciousness of wavering fear. From that wavering there arises a separation of self and the perception of others as enemies." So when we fail to recognize the nature of mind, we give rise to ignorance, and that mind of ignorance is like an unconsciousness or a heavy sleep. Here the text refers to it as a sudden fainting away. And then from this unconscious state arises fear. And this naturally and spontaneously comes about through the influence of self-grasping. We have concern about experiencing cold and hunger and thirst, and these fears are rooted in self-grasping, which is rooted in ignorance or non-recognition of the nature of mind. Because of this self-grasping, then, there is attachment to the self and aversion to others. This is what is meant by these lines. From that wavering, there arises a separation of self and the perception of others as enemies. The text reads, "Gradually the tendency of separation strengthens, and from this the circle of samsara begins." So we've spoken about unconsciousness, and although this can occur while one is living, the great unconsciousness takes place at the moment of death, when the body and the mind are separated. At this time, beings who do not recognize the natural state of the mind enter the bardo, or the intermediate state, between one life and the next, and they give rise to attachment and aversion. Experiencing lust, they seek a physical form, they find a body and a rebirth in cyclic existence, and when they achieve that body, then all of the sufferings of samsara are made manifest in that physical form. And even in this human realm, we can observe small children, and through their actions and their words, we can see that the 5 poisons are already complete in their mind streams. And then as those children grow up and have various experiences, those 5 poisons increase in power and become stronger. Thus, the text reads, "Then the emotions of the 5 poisons develop. The actions of these emotions are endless." The text continues, you beings lack awareness because you are unmindful, and this is the basis of your going astray. Through my prayer, may all you beings recognize your intrinsic awareness. So, the very basis for all the delusion in the minds of all sentient beings is this fundamental unconsciousness. And this unconsciousness is the non-recognition of the clarity of the mind. This mind being nothing other than the non-dual union of emptiness and clarity. And here, Samantabhadra makes the aspiration that all sentient beings realize this mind of clarity and emptiness, which is nothing other than intrinsic awareness. And now we reach the section of the text where there is a discussion of ignorance. The text reads, innate unawareness means unmindfulness and distraction. Imputing unawareness means dualistic thoughts towards self and others. Both kinds of unawareness are the basis for the delusion of all beings. Now, with regard to this innate unawareness, Rinpoche says this is the non-recognition of the natural state of the mind. Even though this natural state is continuously abiding, beings do not recognize it, and this is what is meant by innate unawareness. So the text reads, imputing unawareness means dualistic thoughts towards self and others. So if one does not know how to look at the mind with the mind, and thus if one does not recognize mind's nature, dualistic thoughts naturally manifest. We give rise to the notion of self and other, happiness and suffering, good and bad, and so forth. And the text reads, both of these kinds of unawareness are the basis for the delusion of all sentient beings. The text continues, through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, may all you beings wandering in samsara clear away the dark fog of unmindfulness, clear away the clinging thoughts of duality. May you recognize your own intrinsic awareness. And so, although there is this fundamental delusion or unconsciousness or unawareness of the nature of mind, that itself can be cleared away. So the text reads, may you clear away the dark fog of unmindfulness. When one looks at the mind with the mind, then one sees the natural state as it is. In this way, one gives rise to a clarity that recognizes that the mind itself is not two. It is singular in nature, like the expanse of the sky. In this way, through clarity, one clears away the fog of unmindfulness, and through this recognition of the singular basic nature, the thoughts of duality are cleared away. When one recognizes the sky-like nature of mind, all of samsara and nirvana are recognized to be of one singular basis. And then Samantabhadra makes the aspiration, may you recognize your own intrinsic awareness. Furthermore, with regard to these last few lines, when one gives rise to a deluded and unclear mind, if at that moment one immediately looks at the mind with the mind, that unawareness is spontaneously cleared away. And one can, in an instant, recognize the union of clarity and emptiness that is the mind's nature. At this moment, the mind becomes vast, like the sky. All thoughts have been suspended, and there is no concept or emotion in the mind at all. This state is what is meant by the term Rigpa, or awareness. When it is recognized, then the clinging thoughts of duality are cleared away, as is stated in the text. One recognizes all phenomena to be of a singular basis. When one recognizes the nature of the mind, the knower and that which is known are not two. Rigpa, or awareness, is just that. On the other hand, when this nature is not recognized and the mind is unclear, one gives rise to doubt. Thus the text reads, dualistic thoughts create doubt. Among the 7 types of ignorance, the worst of these, the most harmful, is doubt. And really there is no basis for doubt, because the natural state of the mind is present in all sentient beings, in an unbroken continuity. That nature is present right now. If we look at it, it is possible to recognize it. Yet some will give rise to doubt about whether the natural state is really present or whether it is not. This type of doubt then creates these problems that are referred to in the text. From subtle attachment to this dualistic turn of mind, dualistic tendencies become stronger and thicker. So when we have doubt, then we give rise to grasping and fixation, and from grasping and fixation, karmic propensities are established. These propensities then, as they are reinforced, become thicker and thicker. The text continues, food, wealth, clothes, home and friends, the 5 objects of the senses, and your beloved family. All these things cause torment by creating longing and desire. These are all worldly delusions. The activities of grasping and clinging are endless. The text continues, when the fruition of attachment ripens, you are born as a hungry ghost, tormented by coveting and desiring, miserable, starving, and thirsty. So how is it that the beings of the hungry ghost realm manifest? We look at desire as the basis of taking rebirth in the human realm. Yet it is also a very important condition for taking rebirth in the hungry ghost realm, because when we give rise to desire, whatever objects that we are attached to then become the basis for avarice and greed. And this avarice and greed conditions rebirth in the hungry ghost realm, and thus one experiences all of the sufferings of the beings of that realm. The text continues, through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, may all you desirous and lustful beings who have attachments neither reject longing desires nor accept attachment to desires. And so it is said that one should not abandon the objects of sense desire, that they should be enjoyed. If one abides in clear, mindful awareness while enjoying the 5 desirables, then grasping and fixation will not arise in the mind. If at the moment of enjoyment you look at the mind with the mind, there will be no concept in the mind at all, no emotion, no grasping. Then, whenever one does give rise to a mind of grasping, if it is immediately recognized, the grasping itself can be dissipated. Thus, the text reads, "Let your consciousness relax in its own natural state. Then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of perfect discernment." So, when we recognize the nature of the mind, within that recognition, there is no grasping or fixation. In this way, the mind becomes relaxed and it abides in its own place. As such, awareness then is able to hold its own, as is stated in the text. The text continues. When external objects appear, the subtle consciousness of fear will arise. From this fear, the habit of anger becomes stronger and stronger. Finally, hostility comes, causing violence and murder. So when someone looks at a poisonous snake, immediately that person feels aversion. And that aversion is a response to the hatred in the mind stream of that snake. Through self-grasping, one gives rise to negative emotions such as attachment and aversion. And when aversion increases, then one engages in negative actions of harming others and even killing others. The result is that one takes an inferior form, such as a poisonous snake. And then when beings see this animal, why do they feel aversion? Because of the self-grasping in their own mind streams. They're afraid that this snake will do harm to them because of their own attachment to their own bodies. And so it is that the anger in the mind stream of that snake creates much suffering for the snake itself and for others. When one gives rise to a mind of anger and hatred, the result is the experience of the hell realms and all of the phenomena of the hell realms. And it is not necessary to actually go to a hell realm in order to have such experience. Even within this human realm, within a single family, one individual who has a mind of hatred can experience the phenomena of the hell realms by perceiving all of his family members as enemies. Perceiving phenomena as being harmful to one, perceiving people as enemies who wish to harm one, this is the actual experience of the hell realm. Now, understanding this then, when one sees or recognizes anger and hatred in one's own mind stream, it is important to liberate that negative emotion. Otherwise, as the text reads, when the fruition of this anger ripens, you will suffer in hell by boiling and burning. Through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, you beings of the 6 realms, when strong anger arises for you, neither reject nor accept it. Instead, relax in the natural state and achieve the wisdom of clarity. So if, when one gives rise to anger, if at that very moment one looks at the face of the anger itself, the anger is dissipated, it becomes nothing, and there is no thought or emotion left in the mind. If one can practice like this, Negative emotions such as anger will become like companions on the path. They will be a support to our clear awareness. And in this way, the mind will become purified of hatred and the imprints of hatred. When anger can be liberated through awareness in this way, one achieves, as it says in the text, the wisdom of clarity. This is the mirror-like wisdom. So these words in the text, when strong anger arises for you, neither reject nor accept it. This lack of rejection or acceptance should be understood in the following ways. For different types of practitioners of different capacities, there are different methods for dealing with negative emotions that are taught. And these various methods have greater or lesser power. Now, for beginners, one should contemplate the sufferings of the hell realm, and giving rise to fear of these sufferings, one seeks to abandon negative emotions such as hatred. For a more advanced practitioner who is engaging the bodhisattva's trainings, then one is taught to transform negative emotions such as hatred into loving kindness and compassion by contemplating the kindness of sentient beings. For a practitioner of secret mantra, it is not necessary to think of hatred and other negative emotions as faults. Rather, when these emotions manifest in the mind, one should give rise to clear awareness without any intervening thought. If one turns the mind inward and looks at the root of that negative emotion, one will see that it is empty. It is without any basis at all. And as a result, that negative emotion will become nothing in the mind. What will be left behind is nothing but primordial awareness. Among these three different methods for dealing with negative emotions, this last one is the most powerful. It is said that the degree to which one has realized the view will be understood when one meets with adverse conditions. So if one gives rise to powerful negative emotions, at that time, if through the power of awareness one can liberate that negativity, then awareness only increases. This is the best of all methods of practicing, and by cultivating this practice, one will achieve a perfect view. With regard to the practice of the bodhisattvas, of transforming negative emotions into loving kindness and compassion, or I should say transforming them through love and compassion. This also brings about great benefit, yet by comparison with the secret mantra method of spontaneously liberating emotions on arising, it is much less powerful. The text reads, "When your mind becomes full of pride, there will arise thoughts of competition and humiliation. As this pride becomes stronger and stronger, you will experience the suffering of quarrels and abuse." So, although pride is present in the minds of sentient beings, some have pride to a great degree, and there are various bases on which beings give rise to pride. Some are proud of their knowledge and their learning. Others are proud of their wealth. Others have a pride arisen from ignorance. That is to say, even though they have no qualities and nothing at all to be proud of, still they give rise to pride. Such beings are not afraid of death they have no faith in the teachings on karma, cause and effect. And through this obscuring pride, they are not able to recognize their own faults, nor are they able to see the qualities of others. These various types of pride then condition the experiences of the God realm, where many sufferings are experienced. Thus the text reads, "When the fruition of this karma ripens, you will be born in the God realms and experience the suffering of change and falling to lower rebirths." What this means is that when the karma of abiding in the God realm has been exhausted, then one falls to the hell realms and experiences the sufferings thereof. Thus, when one gives rise to pride, it is important to look at that pride with awareness. And by doing so, the pride itself will dissipate and become nothing. When one purifies pride in one's mind stream, then naturally there will arise faith in the teachings on karma, cause and effect, belief in the benefits of virtuous actions, fear of negative emotions, and of the suffering of the three lower realms of existence. Of course, one should practice liberating or clearing away or transforming the emotion of pride according to one's own capacities. Those of highest, middling, and lesser capacities should practice the methods that accord with their abilities. Finally, the text says, "Through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, may you beings who develop pride, let your consciousness relax in the natural state. Then your awareness will be able to hold its own. May you achieve the wisdom of equanimity." The text reads, "By increasing the habit of duality, by praising yourself and denigrating others, your competitive mind will lead you to jealousy and fighting, and you will be born in the jealous God realm where there is much killing and injury. From the result of that killing, you will fall into the hell realm." So when dualistic views become extremely gross, then one engages in praising oneself and speaking ill of others. Likewise, one gives rise to a jealous and competitive mind. These become the conditions for rebirth in the jealous God realm, or the demigod realm. And in this realm, the gods engage in fighting and warfare because of their jealousy and competitiveness. In the end, when the karma of abiding in the demigod realm has been exhausted, then they also fall to the hell realms. Among the 5 poisons, then, the worst for exhausting one's accumulation of merit is jealousy. And jealousy manifests as feeling some happiness or delight at others' suffering. It also manifests as feeling some discomfort or frustration at others' happiness. If one gives rise to such delight in others' suffering, then in the future those same sufferings will be experienced by oneself. Through the power of jealousy, good friends are driven apart, gurus and disciples are also driven apart, and the one's roots of virtue are severed. Thus, when one gives rise to such negative emotions, one should liberate them through the means that correspond with one's capacity. The text continues, "Through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, when jealousy and competitive thoughts arise, do not grasp them as enemies. Just relax in ease. Then consciousness can hold its own natural state. may you achieve the wisdom of unobstructed action. So the best of all methods is to liberate jealousy on arising through the power of the view. If one is not able to do so, then one should practice the methods that accord with the sutra tradition of contemplating sentient beings as one's kind parents and gradually pacifying jealousy and replacing it with loving kindness and compassion, or of giving rise to fear of the sufferings of the demigod realm, and on the basis of this, clearing away jealousy. In this way, one should practice according to one's own capacities. And so, the last line here reads, may you achieve the wisdom of unobstructed action. This refers to the all-accomplishing wisdom. The text continues, by being distracted, careless, and unmindful, you beings will become dull, foggy, and forgetful. By being unconscious and lazy, you will increase your ignorance, and the fruition of this ignorance will be to wander helplessly in the animal realm. So when one lacks mindful awareness, then the mind is not clear, and one is incapable of recognizing the natural state of the mind. Through this lack of clarity and lack of awareness, one gives rise to the many different types of ignorance. These manifest as, like unclarity, laziness, doubt, and so forth. Among human beings, we can see ignorance manifest in those who drink alcohol, are addicted to alcohol and drugs and so forth. Even though they have human bodies, they live like animals. And the fruition of this type of ignorant activity will be to wander helplessly in the animal realm, as it says in the text. The text continues, through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, may you beings who have fallen into the dark pit of ignorance shine the light of mindfulness and thereby achieve wisdom free from thought. Now, if one really understands this essential point, it is easy to clear away ignorance. Ignorance is dispelled through mindful awareness, also known as ordinary awareness. If one recognizes just one time the nature of the mind that is clear and free from thought, then one will always recognize that mind. To cultivate this awareness and this recognition is the essence of all Buddhist practice. When one sees the nature of mind, all other thoughts and negative emotions are dispelled. This recognition is nothing other than the Buddha. This is the ultimate refuge among all refuges. The awareness in one's own mind is, there is no greater refuge than this. And by relying upon that again and again, one's mind becomes clearer and clearer. On the basis of this transcendent awareness, there is no fixation to phenomena as real. Thus the text refers to the wisdom free from thought. This wisdom free of thought is spontaneously arisen when the mind does not grasp at thoughts and emotions as being real or true. The text continues, all you beings of the three realms are actually identical to Buddhas, the ground of all. Yeah. So all sentient beings of the three spheres of existence have the same basis of mind itself. This basis is known as the Prajna Paramita. It is known as the Buddha nature. It is known as Samantabhadra. The Buddha, the transcendent conqueror Shakyamuni, said, all sentient beings are endowed with Buddha essence, yet that essence is temporarily covered by obscuration. So that basic essence is the Prajna Paramita. Yesterday we spoke about her saying that she is the mother of the Buddhas of the three times. That is, all of the Buddhas of past, present, and future arise from the ground that is this singular essence. This is the ultimate truth in which samsara and nirvana are inseparable. This pure mind is like clear, clean water from which all impurities have been separated out. If one understands this even to a small degree, it will bring about great benefit to one's mind stream. If one has no understanding of this singular basis of mind, then one gives rise to gross dualistic perceptions, thinking I and others are distinct and separate. If, on the other hand, we realize that the minds of all sentient beings are but one in nature, then we realize the connection that is shared among all of us. Then, when through negative conditions someone gives rise to anger at us, we do not respond in turn with anger. Rather, we recognize that at the very basis this individual has the Buddha nature, and the negativity he is presently experiencing is nothing more than a temporary obscuration. Thinking in this way, then there is no need for us to give rise to a mind of anger or hatred in response to the anger of others. Yeah, so the text reads, all you beings of the three realms are actually identical to Buddhas, the ground of all, but your misunderstanding of the ground causes you to go astray, so you act without aim. So even though sentient beings are the same at the basis as all of the Buddhas, still, due to temporary obscuration and delusion, they perceive themselves as separate. Of course, their bodies are separate, but their minds are of the same basis. This is a point that you should consider very well, because when its meaning is truly understood and realized, one will understand the connection between emptiness and karma cause and effect. One will understand the basic sameness of emptiness and cause and effect. We should consider this in the following way. Although there are beings with great bodies and with extremely tiny bodies that cannot even be perceived with the eye, and although there are beings without any physical form at all, still all of them share the same basic kind of mind. If you really investigate this, you can see that even animals, every being that can be observed, has the same kind of attachment, aversion, and ignorance that is present in your own mind. All beings are the same in that they wish to have happiness and be free from suffering. In this regard, all sentient beings of the three spheres, those who have bodies and those who do not have bodies, have basically the same mind and the same wishes. It is only through self-grasping that one does not recognize the fundamental basis of mind and that one perceives self and other as being distinct and separate. From this ignorance arise all of the sufferings of the 6 realms. So although there is a single mind, how is it that all of this diversity and distinction has arisen? It has arisen through non-recognition of the natural state of the mind as it is. By not recognizing the natural state, beings give rise to the 6 types of negative emotions and grasp at them as being real and true. And on the basis of this, all of the phenomena of the sentient beings of the 6 realms of existence are made manifest. If we contemplate this well and truly investigate it again and again, we will come to a certainty that all sentient beings of the 3 spheres have the same basic mind. We will recognize our own mind and the minds of beings to be basically the same. If you investigate well how the animal realm, the hell realm, and the hungry ghost realm have manifest, you can understand this through looking at your own mind. If you look honestly at your own mind stream, you will find avarice and greed. Thus, you will find the very seeds of the hungry ghost realm. Likewise, if you look at your mind, you will find hatred, the seeds of the hell realm. You will also find ignorance, the seeds of the animal realm. This ignorance manifests as sleepiness and dullness. We usually think that by sleeping we don't do any particular harm. Yet, sleep is extremely harmful. It is an actual manifestation of ignorance. And by sleeping, we reinforce the habits of ignorance. Once we have identified these negative emotions in our own minds, how should we practice so that they not arise? We need to look again and again at the natural state of the mind. As it is said in the beginning of this text, realizing this, you are a Buddha. So when one attains this state or when one has this recognition, one achieves independence or freedom of the mind. That is, the freedom to abide in sky-like awareness. The text also reads at the beginning, not realizing this, you are a being wandering in samsara. So the only reason why beings wander throughout the 6 realms of existence is that they have not recognized and stabilized the awareness that is the Buddha nature, which has been abiding with them since time without beginning. So negative emotions abide in the mind, and on the basis thereof we create karma. And that karma abides in our mind stream until it has been exhausted or fully ripened. So even though the Buddha nature is ever present and is not subject to birth and death, as long as that nature is not recognized, we give rise to negative emotions, and the cyclic existence is perpetuated. This is what is meant then by the words, you act without aim. The 6 karmic actions are a delusion, like a dream. If one realizes the nature of mind, then and only then does one see that all of the actions one has engaged are illusory and dreamlike. The text continues, I am the primordial Buddha, here to train the 6 kinds of beings through all my manifestations. Through Kuntuzangpo's prayer, may all you beings without exception attain enlightenment in the state of Dharma Dhatu. So here Samantabhadra, the primordial Buddha, speaks of all of his manifestations. These manifestations are spontaneously arisen from the form body as Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. And these manifest according to the karma of sentient beings. Those of pure karma perceive the Sambhogakaya and receive training from them. Those of impure karma who cannot perceive the Sambhogakaya receive training from Nirmanakaya manifestations. Because all sentient beings have the Buddha nature, whatever karma and propensities have arisen are temporary in nature, and because they are temporary, they can be purified and cleared away. Thus, in his prayer of aspiration, Samantabhadra prays that all beings without exception attain enlightenment. How is this done? It is done through recognizing the natural state of the mind, which causes the frozen ice of self-grasping to merge with the free-flowing water of the Buddha's awareness. In this way, the ice of self-grasping melts away and becomes one with the vast ocean of the Buddha's mind. This is what is meant by his aspiration that beings attain enlightenment in the state of Dharmadhatu. So what is the meaning of this name, Samantabhadra, or ever excellent? It is that one who realizes Samantabhadra, or one who realizes the nature of mind, is happy and delighted at all times and in whatever circumstances. We look at the image of the father and mother Samantabhadra in union, and this state is one of extreme great bliss, which is untainted by suffering and beyond change and transition. Then, from the perspective of the New Translation School, Samantabhadra manifests as Buddha Vajradhara, and we see the body of Vajradhara ornamented with various jewels and so forth, and these are symbolic of the perfected qualities and activities of Vajradhara. These qualities and activities that manifest from the realization of the ultimate nature of mind. In brief, the meaning is that this mind that you presently have is endowed with Buddha nature. First, this must be understood, and then on the basis of understanding, one should gain experience of the mind's nature. When this experience has been habituated over a long period of time by again and again returning to awareness, then negative emotions are liberated. Once this mind is stabilized, then one attains realization. And this realization will be of the mind that is beyond transition and change. This is the mind of all of the Buddhas. One should not look elsewhere for the qualities of Samantabhadra. Those qualities should be sought and found in one's own mind itself. So these teachings that elucidate the enlightened intention of the Buddha Samantabhadra are extraordinary teachings. The mind of Samantabhadra is present in the mind streams of all sentient beings, and it is endowed with particular qualities. One of these qualities is that this mind is exalted above others. This mind is clear and self-illuminating. It is not the mind of ordinary beings that is subject to delusion and unclarity. Likewise, it is endowed with the qualities of seeing its own essence. That is to say, the other day we spoke about the practices of special insight when one recognizes the nature of mind that had not been seen before. This understanding does not come from outside, rather it comes from within. And finally, this mind is endowed with the capacity to distinguish liberation from delusion. Through clear awareness, delusion is completely exhausted, and what is left in its wake is a liberated mind. This last point then means that the mind can be liberated from negative emotions. So negative emotions no longer obscure or contaminate the basic nature of mind. Likewise, another quality of this mind is that it does not come from outside. It is not arisen from outside. The mind, awareness is present in the mind itself, and when it is realized, then awareness abides in its own seat, which is nothing other than mind. So these instructions then about the natural state of mind should first be understood. But once they are understood, then they should be put into practice so that an experiential understanding can be gained. Without such experience, then the teachings do not come to much benefit in the end. So it is my prayer that having received these teachings, you will contemplate their meaning, put them into practice, and then gain experience thereof. Now, with regard to the Dharma Center, I would like to say a few words. This center is something that is indeed precious, and the beings who have made great effort to establish the center have been very kind. However long the center abides, it will accomplish the benefit and happiness of sentient beings. Likewise, those who work for the center and volunteer for the center bring about great benefit. And for everyone who has been involved in the formation of the center, wherever they may take rebirth in the 6 realms of existence in the future, they will continue to reap the benefits of their efforts for as long as the center abides. Thus, I would like to ask that you all cherish the center and care for it and look after it. And with that, I would like to offer my dashi delay or wishes of auspicious good fortune.
Nii, ja ma panen siis selle tiksuma, siit lambrikene virguga, siis 12 sekundi või 15 pärast, kes lõks. Jah? Tule. No nii, tiksub ja vaatame, mis saab.